This edition of the Ridley Report is brought to you by nhliberty.org. I'm standing here with Bob Guida, who's running for U.S. House of Representatives for which district?
Second district.
Second district, which is Manchester and...
No, it's not.
Oh, really?
No.
Oh, so you're here even though it's Manchester,
Sure.
but you're here even though you're not running in Manchester.
Correct.
I appreciate that.
Sure.
Well, yeah, but I have a couple position questions for you that you're probably not going to get from most journalists. And the first one would be, what's your stand with regard to the Federal Reserve? Do you want it audited? Do you want it abolished?
I totally support a complete and public audit of the Federal Reserve. It's a private corporation. It has incredible influence over the monetary policy not only of our country, but of the entire world. And I think anything in a position of such power needs the benefit of the scrutiny of the people that are sent to Washington to be their representatives in governance. And so I totally support. I supported Representative Paul's initiative with my signature as well, the petition to audit the Fed, and would do so again. As far as abolishing it, I think before you abolish something, you need to understand what it does. And there may be, I have no idea, because I don't know how it operates, there may be some benefit to it, but I certainly totally support a complete audit. I also would look at abolishing it if we determine that it's in the best interest. I also support returning to a commodity-based currency. The full faith and credit of the U.S. government is under serious assault by the policies of this administration and Congress. And we're watching, although China just did reiterate that they're supporting the dollar as the currency for oil exchange. That's an important key feature. But I think that, again, our whole monetary system in the hands of a private entity, with people appointed by officials and not accountable, really, is a problem for me, a significant problem for our country's monetary policy.
Do you want to reduce or abolish the war on drugs?
War on drugs is an interesting situation, and I actually had some experience in that, working in a government agency in that particular field. And it's very clear to me that what we're doing isn't working, because you can go to most any school in the country, and within an hour or two you can have access to any, a full panorama of, if you will, of currently illegal drugs. It's instructive to note that prohibition didn't work as a constitutional amendment. Why would we expect regulatory or legislative prohibition to work? We're spending $15 to $20 billion a year on the drug war, and producing a result that still has drugs throughout our entire system. That problem gets solved in the homes of America, where families teach their kids the damage that can be done. As far as doing away with the war on drugs, I think that smarter minds than mine are going to have to answer that question, but I certainly think that what we're doing isn't working. I have spoken and said that I would support the decriminalization of small amounts of marijuana, so we don't turn young people that maybe make a judgment mistake into criminals potentially with records, and expose them to backgrounds and environments that might be more conducive to going the wrong way instead of right.
Are we even sure that it's a mistake? I mean, because there's a lot of information that marijuana can be helpful to your health. So,
well, again, that's a discussion that needs to be had, because the truth be told, the quote-unquote war on drugs is not successful. We keep throwing money at the problem and law enforcement and so forth, and we're not getting the result at the grassroots level that we think should be the correct outcome for good public policy. And so that whole policy needs to be reviewed.
Bob, I appreciate your time, and I also especially appreciate the fact that you didn't try to query me on what I was going to ask you before I started asking you. I appreciate that openness.
I tell you then, I tell everyone, your job is to ask hard questions, and my job is to answer them as best I can. If I don't have an answer, I need to be honest about that too, but it's very clear that the war on drugs isn't working. It's very clear that the secrecy of the Fed, which by the way was, I believe, enhanced by the financial reform package that just passed Congress. Okay, I don't think that's a good thing. I think people need to trust in their government to do that. Transparency, which was the battle cry of this administration and Congress, recently elected, right? They're in fact being significantly reduced by the policies and the bills that they're passing through the U.S. House and Senate presidency.
All right, appreciate your time.
Thank you.
It is said, or certainly could be said, hell hath no fury like a well-intentioned government. Well, I don't know how good the intentions are over here, but I can tell you that the folks at the State House in Concord, New Hampshire are not interested in protecting your freedom for the most part. They're taking it away piece by piece. Fortunately, unlike in most states, they're not doing it without a fight. That is in large part due to the New Hampshire Liberty Alliance at nhliberty.org. Now, if you were to go into the State House there behind me and do this, you would hit one of the members of the New Hampshire Liberty Alliance, because they're in there all over the place fighting for your freedom. They also offer free training if you want to learn the ways of the Citizen Freedom Lobby. Visit them at nhliberty.org. Ugly. Pretty.